I'm Samantha Bryant and I write the Menopausal Superheroes series, and today I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about branding. Branding is one of those words you hear a lot about as an author, about the idea that your presence in the world, your selling yourself as an author needs to have some characteristics that make people able to look at you and your work and know right away if it's for them. And this is challenging, defining yourself this way, and not always entirely up to the author because the publisher has something to say about it too. And one of the big pieces that helps brand an author, especially within a book series, is the look of the covers. So about 2 years ago, I got my rights back from my first publisher, a company that is now defunct, and signed with a new publisher, Falstaff Books. And part of the process along the way was considering the look of the books. My new publisher wasn't interested in trying to get the rights to the old covers. They wanted to give the series a fresh start and a new look. And so we spent a lot of time talking about it, like what should these covers convey? So the original covers, as done by the artist who worked for Curiosity Quills, my now defunct publisher, went with a very bright color palette and definitely tried to play up the comedy of the idea of menopausal superheroes. The covers all featured a torso, and a torso that at least vaguely represented one of the characters in the book, and emphasized the middle-aged aspect, the comedy for sure. And that's not inaccurate, but I did find that a lot of readers went into the books expecting them to be funnier than they are. I would describe my books as dramedy. Drama first, comedy second. They have some very funny moments, if I do say so myself, but they are not primarily comedies. And I think those covers were a little misleading. However, they were very bright, especially that cover for the first book, Going Through the Change, the bright yellow really made it stand out in thumbnail and probably got some people to click on it. So in that sense, they did their job. When we looked at the covers for Falstaff Books, we talked about it and decided that we should really emphasize the superhero aspect of the story, that their superheroes is more the heart of the story than the comedy aspect. So the cover artist, Melissa, came up with this idea of using silhouettes and cityscapes because the stories all take place in a city I made up, Springfield, which is a non-specifically located, smaller to medium-sized southern city. Kind of in my imagination, it's based on a conglomeration of a lot of the cities near me. There's a little bit of Charlotte, a little bit of Durham, a little bit of Raleigh. They came together to make Springfield. And I named it Springfield because Springfield's one of those city names that is located in so many states. I looked it up at some point and it was something like 38 states had a Springfield in them, a very high number. So anyway, we decided to go with this look of silhouettes and cityscapes, and I've liked that a great deal. The color palette is overall more towards pastel, which I think is a choice to try to indicate the femininity of the work, right? That these are stories that feature women as the main characters. Then as we moved along, we had the 3 novels, which were all re-released pretty quickly after each other and all came out all at once. And then we did some novellas this year in 2020, novellas and a collection of short stories. And the look for those was a little different. We wanted them to look like they belong with the other books, but to make it clear that they were also something a little different and that these were shorter works and side stories and not necessarily feeding into the overall narrative of the novels. So we still used the silhouettes, but the silhouettes were darker and stood out a little more against the background. And instead of having the cityscapes in the background, we just did these brightly colored stripes that just kind of spoke of old school comic book and the kind of stories where you see kapow written in a big jaggedy circle. So the rays of light just kind of suggested that, and it let us play with some color schemes. And so we got the green for Friend or Foe, and the blue for the Goodwill Tour, and the yellows for Through Thick and Thin. And then my most recent release, Agents of Change, collected all those short works into one larger work. And we're hoping will be the lead-in into the fourth Menopausal Superhero book, which is due out in 2021. So Agents of Change kind of combined the looks of those two things. So it has the silhouettes, but they're not so dark and separate from their background. The background has a cityscape again, but there's a bunch of rays in the sky. So it kind of takes the rays from the novellas and the cityscapes from the novels and puts them together into something that kind of bridges. And I think it looks really cool. So then the question about branding then is, so what do these covers convey about me and my work? So I'm hoping that they convey feminism, or at least femininity, that these are women-centered stories, and superhero, giving you the idea that you're going to get a superhero story when you open it, and positivity, that they don't have a, how can I put it? They don't look dour. You know, you don't look at these and go, oh, that's going to be a bleak and sad story. You look at these and go, oh, that looks powerful and fun and vibrant. And that's kind of what I'm going for. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do these covers speak what I wanted them to speak? What do you think of the new ones as opposed to the old ones? Let me know.